Hello and welcome to another video in Foundations of Maternal and Newborn Health. In today's video, we're going to be going over uterine anatomy. So we'll start with the uterus itself, and the uterus has two main tissues that we'll talk about today. So the first is the endometrium, so that's drawn in here in yellow. This is the endometrium. And metrium means uterus. This means uterus. So if you ever see anything metrium, it's talking about the uterus. And endo just means the inside. So the endometrium is just the inner lining of the uterus. So you lose the endometrium every month during menstruation, and this is what's coming off, and it gets rebuilt every month as well. So every month you build a new endometrium, and then it gets lost during menstruation. The next main component of the uterus is the myometrium. So that's drawn in here in these orange lines. This is the myometrium. And again, metrium means uterus and myo means muscle. This means muscle. So the myometrium is the muscle of the uterus, and this will be important when we talk about placental pathologies and stuff like that, placental abnormalities. But the myometrium is the muscle of the uterus, and it's what actually allows it to contract and push the baby out. And then there's one part of the uterus that we'll really highlight, which is this part up here. So it's the myometrium of the top of the uterus, and this is called the fundus. The fundus of the uterus, and it's the strongest part of the uterus. Strongest. And so this should hopefully make sense. If you have the baby inside the uterus and the baby's trying to go out, this way, you'd want the strongest muscle of the uterus to be behind the baby pushing it out. So that's why the fundus is the strongest part of the uterus, is at the top here. So next we have these kind of arms of the uterus, and these are the fallopian tubes. Fallopian tubes. So you can see there's two of them. This is also a fallopian tube over here. I'll call it just FT for fallopian tube. And so these carry eggs that are released from the ovaries. So that's what we'll talk about next. So in blue here, we have the ovaries. And these hold all of a woman's eggs. So the eggs come from the ovaries. And again, each month, the ovary releases one egg, which will then travel down the fallopian tube and into the uterus. So that's really the main job of the ovaries. They also produce hormones, and we'll talk about that in the endocrinology section. So these guys also make hormones. Okay, and then at the base of the uterus, we also have the cervix. So that's this base area here. This is the cervix. Sorry, this is an R. And the cervix actually has two main entrances. So you can think of the cervix as like the door to the uterus. And at the top, we have the internal os. And at the bottom we have the external os. And so this just, the cervix mainly just protects the baby from falling out too early during pregnancy. And so it's quite firm and holds the baby in. And then lastly, we have the vaginal canal here. So that's down here. This is just the vaginal canal. And that's all the main components of the uterus.